Hi folks, I'd like to talk about the possibility of choosing a classical guitar, a classical model guitar for playing flamenco. Now, it seems that at the lower end of the market, in other words, if you don't want to spend too much money, the choice of an actual flamenco model guitar is pretty limited. And you go higher up the scale and they get more expensive, but unless they get very expensive, I don't think the mid-range flamenco models are really that great. The main point I'm trying to make is you'll pay more money for a half-decent flamenco model, and the price, the budget range, is you have a limited choice. Whereas from 130, 150 British pounds, about $200, you get some, in the classical range models, you get some pretty half-decent guitars. And the choice is massive. The number of companies making them and the number of models is just mind-blowing. You have the endless choice. So, you've heard the stories, there are plenty of people telling you that a classical guitar, you have too much bass, too much middle, rich, mellow sounds, and when you play faster stuff or raccato, it becomes muddy and blurred, you know. You know, does that sound muddy and blurred to you? This is a classical guitar, but the point is, yes, an expensive, very good quality classical guitar, all of the criticisms are true. They have deep bass, middle, low, mellow, projection, sustain, all that. All the things that you supposedly do not want in a flamenco guitar. You want faster decay, you want a brighter tone, you want more emphasis on the trebles, etc. Fair enough. But in the cheaper classical guitars, you can get just that. Because basically, the cheap classical guitars are not your stereotypical good classical guitar. Some of them have quite a bright tone, more reminiscent of a flamenco negra model, actually. So therefore, point I'm making is, don't think that you must have a flamenco model. Look at the cheaper classical guitars, find one that suits you. You like the sound of it, you know. It has the qualities of a flamenco guitar almost, because it's not good quality classical model. One thing is, you will never buy any classical guitar, however, whatever price it is, straight off the peg in the shop with an action, with a factory set action low enough for flamenco. You'll need to take the action down. Now, classical guitarists put up with this higher action because they don't want the speed, they don't want the percussive sound. Their main priority is a pure sound. That's why you will never have any classical guitar, however expensive, with a low action, right? So therefore you will need to take the action down. So when you choose your guitar, if everything else, you like everything else about it, just put your finger on your sixth string and push it and bend it downwards and see where the wood on the bridge is, how your saddle comes down to the wood. Make sure that there is enough potential for that to come down far enough. Some of them, you'll get them down as far as you take your bones down as far as you possibly can, and it's still not low enough. It just depends on the individual guitar. So just make sure it has plenty of potential on the bones for bringing the action down. Also, most flamenco guitarists, even top soloists, play with a capo because that brings the action down further, brings this end down to fret level, makes it much quicker, easier to play as well. So bearing that in mind, you can have a bright tone, cheap price, and it'll be as good as probably some flamenco models that cost more. Now this guitar, which I hope you agree has a bright sound. This is an aria, Japanese-made aria. It's an A556. I bought it new, I think, around 1980. If anyone out there knows when it was made, I mean, the serial number is 99491, if that means anything to anyone. And I've had a couple of Spanish guitars, a Sanchez. I've had a couple of them, but anyway, action-wise, sound-wise, I sold them again because I came back to the old aria, you know, and I have a friend who is a classical guitarist, and he does not like this guitar. It's not for him. That's fine. He likes your typical classical guitar qualities. But if you get a cheaper classical one, you can have the flamenco qualities. So that's about it, really. The other thing, the neck on this, it's very flat and dish-like. So it's shallow from there to there, and I happen to like that very much, and I've got so used to it over the years that if I had another guitar, I'd have to have one with a similar neck profile. You get some that are more semicircular and got more wood, you know, more rounded out the back, you know, more chunky, and I like this. It's kind of almost, in electric terms, it's the kind of difference between the profile of a Fender Stratocaster neck and a Les Paul. You know, the Gibsons are more rounded, the Fenders are more flat, dish-like, and that's what I like. And this guitar happens to have that. That doesn't sound in any way classical, does it? Not to me. So, cheap price, massive range of guitars to choose from. I've actually been to London, to the London Guitar Studio, is probably in Europe and all over the world, has got a huge selection of flamenco and classical guitars to choose from. I have taken friends, 2 or 3 friends down there to buy guitars, and there's many years ago, a friend of mine paid £600 for a guitar, and I certainly would not swap it for this one. Another friend spent £800 on a guitar, flamenco guitar. I certainly would not have swapped it for this one. Okay, it's 1980, it's a long, long time ago, but this cost me £250. Quality these days, the cheap guitars are so much better now than they were then. So, you know, don't think you have to pay a lot of money. Just find the right one that suits you. There is a bargain out there. But you're far more likely to find a bargain that suits you in the classical range than the more limited range of flamenco guitars. Don't get me wrong, I would love a Conde Hermanas. I would love a fantastic flamenco guitar, you know, one that you just play a couple of notes and the sound just rips your heart out. I would love that, but I don't have the money, and I'm guessing lots of you folks out there don't have the money either. So don't dismiss a classical model. A cheap classical model will probably do the job better than a cheap flamenco model from a very limited range. Think about it.